A world in which every human has turned to stone. Humans have been petrified for years, however one day, a genius awakens, and he makes it his plan to restart civilization with the power of science. The anime begins with a man who goes by the name of Teiju, and he enters a lab and tells who we find out to be our main protagonist, Senku, that for around 5 years now, he's been holding in these feelings for his crush, Yuzuriha, and he wants to be able to tell her. Senku, although appearing uninterested, gives us an insight to his character, as he provides Teiju with a love potion to boost his confidence. But Teiju refuses to drink it and pours it out, only to see this potion cause an explosion. Senku responds by letting Teiju know that he was 100% sure that Teiju wouldn't drink it, and that the potion that he gave him was actually gasoline. And I know what you're thinking here, absolutely crazy, right? This is the introduction to RMC and the confidence he has in his ability and judgment, and trust me, this is only the beginning. Teiju then goes to meet his love interest Yuzuriha outside and goes to confess his love to her, and as he hesitates, he is hit by a ray of light which seems to be turning to stone any human it shines on. And mind that I state human, because we do see pictures of animals that aren't affected. Now, even though he's turned to stone, Teiju still maintains consciousness and vows to stay conscious until he can confess his feelings to Yuzuriha. And this is the crazy part, because all of society has been petrified. So time goes on, and when I say time, I mean a lot of it, until one day Teiju breaks free from his stone, and the first thing he does is walk to Yuzuriha, but then there's a message by the tree that she's petrified next to, and carved into the tree is a message to follow the river downstream, and which he does. Now at the end of this river, he finds Senku, who explains that the date is October 5th, 573A, which is actually 3,700 years from the day that they were petrified, and Senku admits that he was counting the seconds even whilst he was petrified, to ensure that he knew how much time had passed. Now if we fast forward, Senku has a base set up, and he takes Teiju to a cave, and he explains that there was a liquid that drips from the cave named nitric acid, and this liquid has the ability to effectively corrode the stone that they were entrapped in. Now some time passes and Senku experiments on petrified birds, and using his science knowledge for survival, we quickly realize the relationship between Senku being the brains and Teiju being the bronze. Now once the nitric acid solution is perfected, Teiju's first goal is to use this fluid on Yuzuriha, however they are attacked by lions. So they are effectively forced to awaken an individual who goes by the name of Tsukasa, and he is known as the strongest high school primate, and they use his strength to defeat these lions. And I know, it's quite crazy. The thought that a human being could defeat a group of lions with just his bare fists is absolutely insane, but that goes to tell you just how beastly he is. Now Tsukasa seems to be a great addition to the team, helping them in getting the ingredients to make soap. However, things take a dark turn when he actually breaks one of the petrified individuals, thereby killing him, and his justification of just wanting to purify the world. Now Teiju, as I mentioned, being more bronze than brain, lets slip about the nitric acid solution, and it's evident that there's tension in the team, as the ability to rebuild the world in the way that he sees fit is an interesting proposition for Tsukasa, but this doesn't actually align with the values of RMC. Now I have to remember, with all of this happening, Senku and Teiju are able to revive Yuzuriha, and the three of them split from Tsukasa, who now appears to be our antagonist. The three on Team Senku go off to create gunpowder using Senku's knowledge of science, and they're ultimately successful. With smoke in the air, Senku realizes that they may not be the only ones that are alive, and decides to light one of their own to communicate with whoever was lighting theirs. This does put them at risk though, because Teiju has gone to collect firewood, and this smoke signal lets Tsukasa know their exact location. And as you probably guessed, he's able to take Yuzuriha hostage. He tells Senku to forget about science, in which Senku refuses, and by refusing, this led to Tsukasa killing him, or so he thought. Teiju and Yuzuriha then use the gunpowder to escape, and they try using the nitric acid liquid on the part of the petrified back of the neck that Senku still had, to see if it could revive him, and fortunately, it does. Now to keep up appearances, Teiju and Yuzuriya have split up from Senku here, and they join Tsukasa and the empire that he's building effectively as spies, as Senku goes to find out who was sending those smoke signals from earlier to see if he can recruit them to Team Senku. And as he does, he finds a girl under a tree named Haku, who had an encounter with Tsukasa before, and she had been defeated. Senku frees her and they travel to her village, where he was denied entry by two individuals named Kinro and Jinro, who are hilarious by the way. But Senku distracts them and it seems to be working until another character who goes by the name of Chrome is introduced. And he's introduced as a sorcerer, but really he's just a watered down inferior version of Senku. But Chrome wants to impress so much that he tries to battle Senku with the battle of science. But ultimately, he is defeated and joins Team Senku as effectively Senku's sidekick. Whilst this happens, Haku brings hot spring waters to her sister, Ruri, who is the village priestess. We find out that this is because Ruri is ill, and Chrome asks Senku to help cure her. Senku also fills Chrome in on everything that happened before this and how society was before this stone world, and they ultimately form a plan to create antibiotics. Now, long story short, they create a little team which includes Haku, Chrome, and newly introduced Suika. As Senku makes ramen to warm the hearts of the villagers and be accepted, a man named Jin appears, and he works alongside Tsukasa, and Senku recognizes him almost right away, because prior to the stone world, he was a popular con artist. Now, how can you become a popular con artist? Surely that can't be a good sign. But that's neither here nor there, because Jin sees that Senku has cooked ramen here and tells Senku as to how he was brought back into the stone world. And the kind-hearted Senku lets Jin know that of course he is welcome to have some of the ramen, but he has to work for his meal. Now, Jin, opening up to Senku, tells him that he works for Tsukasa and was actually sent to confirm the death of Senku. However, after seeing everything Senku can do, he definitely has had a change of heart now, and Jin admits that things on Tsukasa's side are not so easy, and that he just wants a simple life, and he believes that only Senku's strategy through science could ever bring that back to life. Senku's next aim is to create a generator, and also to fix the village bridge. However, I forgot to mention, there's a village brew, who's basically the strongest in this new village, and he goes by the name of Magma. And he decides that he's going to kill Senku. He is, however, stopped by Jin, as he shows him a magic trick and ultimately buys Senku and his newly formed team enough time to create a magnet. Now, this magnet was a crucial commodity, because this was the foundation of building a generator, in which they successfully did. But I must admit, this is the very early stages, so the energy to run this generator had to be manual. So Senku is able to convince Kinro and Jinro to manually operate this generator, as he climbs up to the roof of his and Chrome's base of science, and he connects the ends of two copper wires to a bamboo leaf to effectively create light. Now, post this, Jin is out at night all by himself, and he is attacked by someone he doesn't quite get a full look at, and we eventually find out that it was the village brute Magma, and he wanted to win the grand bout so he could marry Ruri and become the village chief. Now, Magma is so horrid and admits that he doesn't want the hassle of dealing with a sick wife, so after he's won the bout and marries Ruri, he's going to frame her suicide. Now, at this point, the newly formed Team Senku decide to take matters into their own hands, and Haku begins training with Kinro and Jinro in order to compete too. Now, whilst this happens, Senku and Chrome had treated Jin from his injuries that he had, and although he's still injured, he makes his way back to Tsukasa and tells him that Senku is dead. Now, we all know this is a lie, but in exchange for this lie, Senku had promised Jin to make him a bottle of cola. We then go back to the village and find out that Suika is diagnosed with the blurry sickness, which actually isn't a blurry sickness at all, but the fact that she can't see properly and just needs glasses. And so she's been wearing a helmet that helps her focus, because of course this is the stone world and glasses haven't been invented yet. So what does Senku do? Well, he makes glass and turns it into glasses for Suika. Now, whilst he does this, he also makes glass lab material in order to store his chemicals in. and help them progress in this stone world even further. However, in Team Senko, there's no one who knows how to glass blow properly, and so effectively, they're just wasting their time. So with a little help in identifying someone who can, we're introduced to Kasuki, and he's able to help the team out. And even though he doesn't want to help them out at first, he's very easily convinced. And wow, is this guy built like a tank. But he is fantastic, and he makes all the lab glasses that Senku couldn't even imagine. We then move on to Senku's next objective, and that is to create a new shiny spear for Jinro. Now why would he do this? Well, this was Senku thinking 10 steps ahead again. You see, this spear was designed as a tool to detect poisonous gas, known as sulfuric acid, as they needed to collect some materials by this sulfuric acid in order to make antibiotics to treat Ruri. But as this gas was toxic and they were unable to get through it, Senku then goes back to create a gas mask in order to provide them with oxygen to get through to the pool. But there is a lot of emotion pulling here, as things could go very wrong, and Senku doesn't want Chrome to come just in case something goes wrong, and therefore a world without science will no longer be possible. But that's neither here or there either, because both Chrome and Senku go, and they go to collect the materials, and all is going well until Chrome slips, and in the nick of time, Jinro puts out his spear for Chrome to hold on to, ultimately saving his life. Now for the sake of time, this is only part 1 of season 1, and honestly, it was absolutely fantastic. So if you want me to do the second part, providing a recap of episodes 13 to 24, then let me know down in the comments. But that just about does it for me. So as usual, if you like anything I've had to say, then make sure you leave a like on the video, and if you like videos like this, then make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss out when I drop more content just like this. Say